The Justin Robert Young program is brought to you as always by everybody who supports patreon.com/JuRY. But enough of talking about how we do the show. What do you say? We just do the damn thing!
On the day that we met on the internet, I asked her for a photograph. She sent it over to me, said, I know it's ugly. And I said, girl, ugly ain't the half, look at you. Well, you got blue teeth and you only got 2 teeth, but I kinda like to see you smile. And it appears that over the years you've turned into a big old steaming pile. And she said, yeah, I know I ain't no supermodel. I said, you ain't a hand model, baby, but that's fine, 'cause you're pretty ugly by most people's standards, but you're alright by mine.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Justin Robert Young program. My name is indeed Justin Robert Young. So happy to be with you. As if we never left. Welcome back. Big shout out, as always, to the Immortal Possum Posse. Everybody go ahead and hit them up on Twitter. Let them know. If you love that song as much as I do, just go ahead and hit them up. It's never a bad time to hit up the Possum Posse and just let them know, hey, All Right by Mine is one of the best songs ever written. Okay. We got a hell of a show here for you today. We have stories about, we have another trend story. We got maybe the weirdest thing that happened during yesterday's eclipse. We're going to bring that to you here. We're going to get all up into this Joss Whedon thing. Oh boy. Just when DC thought they were going to be able to have a normal, positive press tour for Justice League. Yeah. Hachi machi. And then, of course, we're going to find out why you are more likely to be laid tonight. Tonight. You could have sex tonight if your credit score is high enough. I mean, I guess part of that is really unremarkable. Because it's like, yeah, I'll just buy sex. I have the credit to do it. Do hookers take credit cards? Probably not. Probably debit only. I don't know. If you're a hooker and you take credit cards, let me know. Email me, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. justinrobertyoung@gmail.com if you are a hooker and you take credit cards. But we're going to begin with this. I just want to get it out there to everybody. We are only a week and change away from Dragon Con. That is always the big event of the year for Diamond Club. So many Diamond. I think it's the biggest gathering of Diamond Club people of the entire year, and this year is no different. We got a live night attack on Saturday, and before that, we are going to do OPP, Other People's Pain, the one-man show that I did and put out here on this stream or on this RSS feed at Nerdtacular. We're doing it again. If you are unfamiliar with the premise, the idea is you write an embarrassing story. It will be totally anonymized. I will not read it. A person from the audience will read it. They will animate your story by way of their storytelling, and I will prosecute the story. It's a fun way to anonymize embarrassment. Now we got pretty much everything that we want for the show, but I'm shaking the tree one more time because I know there's somebody that's heard me tell this or say that we're looking for OPP stories. The first time they heard me, the second time they're like, I don't know if I should do it. I don't know if I should do it. But if I say it the third time, you might come out of the woodwork. And I'm excited for that. So if you have one of these stories that you really want to tell, then go ahead and spill it right there. JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Put OPP in the subject line. Again, everything will be fully anonymized. And I think after this one, we'll just do some kind of blind form dump where you guys can just copy paste your stories, and there's no way that anybody will know it at all. So go ahead and check that out. And again, I believe that it's going to be at, I think, 7 or 8 o'clock. But we'll have full details on exactly where it's going to be next week. But if you're at Dragon Con, you can just pick up the schedule and you can find the JuRY show. And that's where OPP will be on Saturday. Okay. So let's get into this Eclipse. A lot of people had a great time with it. Ashley and a bunch of friends were up there in Portland, or just south of Portland, yesterday. They saw it in its totality. The homie, my brother, Andrew Main, drove all the way out with Rudy Kobe, one of the most brilliant magicians of all time. And they saw it in its totality. A lot of coverage about it. It really was kind of a worldwide topic of conversation, because the last time that America had seen anything like this was a very, very, very long time ago. But here's what I want to point out. The Weather Channel was just going kind of nuts with this yesterday. They were all over it. Let's go ahead and get just a little taste of what the Weather Channel was up to here.
Now in 18 minutes, the big countdown is on, and I expect this crowd behind me to be cheering and jumping up and down in excitement, because it's one of those once-in-a-lifetime experiences. And we are going to see this traverse 14 states. That width of totality is 70 miles.
Now, that's not all that remarkable, right? It's the kind of coverage that you would expect for the Weather Channel to do, right? This is their moment, right? How many other times do you get a chance? Oh my God, Jim Cantori looking more and more like Bill Goldberg every day. The guns on Jim Cantori. Who's next? Okay. Now here's where shit got weird. Shit got weird when the eclipse started happening. All of a sudden, the Weather Channel decided that they were going to enhance the eclipse. All right? Like, I don't know how much you feel like you need to dress up a fucking once-in-a-lifetime event, but for whatever reason, the Weather Channel decided to have a music bed during the eclipse. Now, they could have made this a thing. Bonnie Tyler apparently somewhere sang Total Eclipse of the Heart during the eclipse. You could have made a big deal about it. Playlist, right? Or you could have just made the committed decision that we are just going to leave this silent and maybe have, wild audio of people going like, oh my God, oh my God. Here is what the Weather Channel decided to play during the eclipse. During the eclipse. Let's go to the music. Here we go.
Happy eclipse. I don't know the greeting exactly.
All right, here we go.
Really dark down here.
Oh, someone's going to need to give me this time code again. Someone's going to need to give me this time code. Oh, botchamania. Here we go. Here we go. All right, I got it. Here we go. This is the song they chose.
All right, folks. Guys. All right, enjoy it, folks.
All right, so now they're
Yes. Yes. It is I, the Weather Channel. Obey the Weather Channel. Chaos reigns. The moon has been blocked out, and you now submit to the will of Jim Cantori. Worship his biceps. Worship Jim Cantori. Chaos will spread across the land. Yes! I have stolen your son from you, and I will only return it to your precious grasp should you pledge fealty to Jim Cantori. As the prophecy has foretold, Cantori is now the only truth. Abandon your jobs, abandon your children. Cantori is the only way. Cantori is love. Cantori is life.
Which again, I find that really fucked up. Like, I don't know why they would need to do all that other stuff. Like, why are they playing that music and that ominous voice screaming for Jim Cantori's supremacy? Like, I don't know. Just show the Eclipse, guys. Come on. There's no reason why you can't just show the Eclipse. It's, come on. Seriously, why would they do the music though? Like, why would they? Does it make it any better? Does it make it any better? And also, like, what other music? You should have just played Bonnie Tyler. That would have been the way to go. I don't know why you need some bizarre Philip Glass, staccato violin nonsense. It's just insane. Fucking Weather Channel. Get out of here. It's the craziest shit y'all did since you called Anthony Carboni a scientist. All right, how about this? Here's something that we can't all agree with. Y'all, there's a new trend. I feel like there's a new we gotta have a thing. All right, here we go. Let's have the trend robot. And now the latest trend. Y'all are gonna get so sick of this fucking voice modulator now that I have two mics. Here we go. This is from the new... Oh, wait, hold on. What is it? The New York Post. New York Post. The Post with the most. Here's the headline. Love bombing is the newest dangerous dating trend. Oh, Jesus, you guys. I mean, listen, there's a lot of people dating out here. I don't want to have to... I don't want to scare you guys, right? But listen, there's a new and dangerous dating trend out here, and I feel like you need to know about it. You need to know about it. Love bombing, written by Becky Pemberton of The Sun. Oh, so it's a rerun from The Sun. So it's British. Have you started dating somebody who has lavished you with attention and then have quickly soured? Chances are you've been a victim of love bombing. Wait a minute, hold on. You have been a victim of love bombing. That one wasn't as good. First we had ghosting and then we had benching. But this brutal new dating trend is yet another obstacle that single people have to deal with, and it could be the most manipulative tactic yet. Love is a battlefield. We should have paid attention to Benatar. According to psychiatrist Dale Archer, typically it will occur in a whirlwind romance where one partner tries to influence a person with affection, attention, presence, and promises about the future. Things progress quickly, and the rush of a new romance can often be powerful for victims, pushing aside any feelings of doubt that are causing high levels of infatuation. This leaves little room for the victim to assess if they're being manipulated or to see if the other person is genuine, particularly if contact is fairly constant, either over calls or through text. The move sees victim become codependent on the predator, who's often a narcissist or sociopath. Okay. Wait a minute. Hold on. This is about narcissist or sociopathic behavior? Wait, I mean, listen, I think that it is a public duty for me to bring to you guys these trend pieces, but at the same time, like, if you're dating a sociopath, why are you specifically infatuated with this one element of how they deal with you during the beginning of your relationship? Like, is the point that you should then go on to have a successful, exciting relationship with a sociopath? Like, is that what should happen? Is that what we're hoping for? No! You're not supposed to have it. They're sociopaths. They're bad people. I don't know why it became Jerry Seinfeld. They're bad people. Sociopaths. Let's continue on with this amazing article. The honeymoon doesn't last, and as soon as victims show a small hint of not caring or prioritizing their partner, the predator will often reveal their true colors. Archer wrote in Psychology Today, if extravagant displays of affection continue indefinitely, if actions match words, then there is no devaluation phase, then it's probably not love bombing. Well, thanks, Dick. On the other hand, if there's an abrupt shift in the type of attention from affectionate and loving to controlling and angry, with the pursuing partner making unreasonable demands, that's a red flag. Oh, you don't say. The important thing to remember about love bombing is that it is a psychological partner abuse, period. When one person intentionally manipulates and exploits another's weaknesses or their insecurity, there's no other word for it. This is the laziest, dumbest article I've ever read. And listen, I've been very, very mean about these trend stories, and I don't mean to blame this person who wrote it, because I'll tell you exactly what happened. Old Becky Pemberton winds up having to go through a lot of these, or it was reported somewhere else, these things. Actually, here's what happens. Psychology Today, which is a medical journal thing. What is Psychology Today? Oh, no, this is just an article on psychologytoday.com. A manipulative partner's most devious tactic, written by Dale Archer. So it's just this dude who wrote a thing on a blog, and the New York Post goes and puts it on there. I mean, listen, this article here that I'm reading right now, the Psychology Today article, the headline is "A Manipulative Partner's Most Devious Tactic." That's saying, hey, signs that you might be dating a shitbag. If your partner gives you gifts and showers you with attention and affection only to pull it back 3 months later, you might be dating a shitbag. Woo! This is my new character. My new character is redneck Jeff Foxworthy-esque comedian who only talks about psychological health. So it is the Sun that then takes that article and calls it a dating trend, right? Not a sign that you are dating somebody bad, but a dating trend, as if something that all people are doing or enough people are doing to consider it a trend. Not a thing that sociopaths are doing, which obviously are damaged people, right? They're weird people. So poor Dale Archer, MD, reading between the headlines, writes a fairly measured article about the psychological warning signs of dating somebody that might not necessarily have your best your best thoughts in mind. He then calls those actions love bombing, which apparently is a psychological term first found in the 1970s. about the Mooney cult. Oh, that's interesting. Go ahead and look up the Mooney cult. In fact, it then goes and ties this behavior psychologically to cult leaders. Cult leaders, not random people that are dating people in London or in New York. Cult leaders. But no, it's a dating trend. It's a dating trend. Oh, beware the trend, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to Austin for sending that in. All right. You want to get into this? Who wants to get into this Joss Whedon thing? Let's go ahead. Let's do it. Let's do it. Who's in? Who's in the chat right now? Who wants to talk about this Joss Whedon thing? Let's talk through it. Let's get it. It's divisive. It's divisive. Listen, Joss Whedon is held to a standard that is, I would say, revered. He is oftentimes seen as kind of the best of the geek community. He has created works of art that have galvanized geeks. He often tells stories of underdogs and misfits, but has always been keen to use the genre elements around, around the stories that kind of tickle the funny bone. Certainly ahead of the time. He is a guy that really rode the wave of geekdom into the point where it is now mainstream as mainstream can get. Literally goes from writing a screenplay for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, watching a crappy movie get made, redoing it as a television show on a network that nobody gave a rat's ass about, becomes a cult classic, does a spinoff, does another show that airs, 5 seconds on television before becoming a cult classic that's still discussed today. Winds up doing a few movies, and then has his big break with Avengers. He shepherds the Marvel Universe, the biggest, most beautiful, gleaming engine of entertainment and money that we have seen today. Winds up falling out of that, and now we find Joss Whedon as he is about to go on a press tour as having picked up the movie Justice League from Zack Snyder, who had to leave the project because his daughter committed suicide. You would think that if you were Warner Brothers, after all the shit that you've done in that universe, finally you could have a positive press tour. Wonder Woman was a hit. She's a big part of this movie. Joss Whedon is there, so you don't have to answer questions about Batman versus Superman. Sure, listen, Ben Affleck is counting the minutes until he can get out of his contract, but whatever. If that's all you have to deal with, Ben Affleck will smile and play ball. And then it happens. The Wrap posts an article by Kai Cole. Kai Cole. If you are unaware about who Kai Cole is, well, allow me to enlighten you. Kai Cole is the ex-wife of Joss Whedon. They separated in 2012 and formally divorced last year. So let's go ahead and take a look. This is the headline. Joss Whedon is a, quote, hypocrite preaching feminist ideals, ex-wife Kai Cole says, comma, guest blog. Joss Whedon's like, hey, I know one outlet I'm never talking to again. Thanks for the guest blog. Here's the pull quote they use as the subheadline. He used his relationship with me as a shield so no one would question his relationships with other women or scrutinize his writing as anything other than feminist. We're not going to read the whole thing, but I am going to read the first paragraph. I've been asked some questions by the press recently about my divorce from Joss Whedon, for whom I was married for 16 years. There's misinformation out there, and I feel the best way to clear up the situation is to tell my truth. Let me begin by saying I'm a very private person, and the act of writing this is antithetical to who I am and everything I stand for. Yet, at the same time, I feel compelled to go on the record and clear up some misperceptions. I don't think it's fair to me or other women to remain silent any longer. She goes on to recount her relationship. Obviously, she is not well trained in the inverted pyramid of news writing, and she doesn't put the meat of the story up top. So we scoot down here. There were times in our relationship when I was uncomfortable with the attention Joss paid to other women. He always had a lot of female friends, but told me it was because his mother raised him as a feminist. So he just liked women better. He said he admired and respected females. He didn't lust after them. I believed him and I trusted him. On the set of Buffy, Joss decided to have his first secret affair. Shh. Secrets. 15 years later, when he was done with our marriage and finally ready to tell me the truth, he wrote, "When I was running Buffy, I was surrounded by beautiful, needy, aggressive young women. It felt like I had a disease, like something from a Greek myth. Suddenly I'm a powerful producer and the world is laid out at my feet and I can't touch it." But he did touch it. He said he understood, quote, "I would have to lie or conceal some part of the truth for the rest of my life." Kai continues, but he did it anyway, hoping that his first affair, quote, would be enough, and then we could move on and outlast it. She goes on, Joss admitted for the next decade and a half he hid multiple affairs and a number of inappropriate emotional ones that he had with his actresses, co-workers, fans, and friends while he stayed married to me. He wrote a letter when our marriage was falling apart, but I still didn't know the whole truth, and said, quote, "I've never loved anyone or wanted to be with anyone in any real or long-term way except for you, ever. And I love our life. I love how you are, how we are, how you are, and what we've done both separately and together, and how much fun we have." He wanted it all. He didn't want to choose, so he accepted the duality as part of his life. Now, as many people are pointing out here in the chat room, the idea that somebody who is divorced from somebody else would then go out and talk shit with them, let alone intentionally come out and blow up their life before they're about to go on a press tour where literally everybody and their mom is going to want to ask about this, is not surprising. You know, that would be more of the rule than the exception. Divorce is challenging, and marriages are complicated. And there are a million different ways that you can handle things, but obviously, at the end of it, not everybody's on the same page. So, the larger issue here is the idea that somebody who has been as public of an ally to feminism as could be would treat his wife so terribly. Now, when you look at the heroes of our history, you don't have to go far to figure out that they are complicated, if not times deeply flawed human beings. And I'm not saying that Joss Whedon is a deeply, or is a hero by any mean, but I am saying he's, like many, if not most, a deeply flawed human being. Where I want to take this, though, is not necessarily about Joss Whedon, but however, well, here, let's stay on Joss for right now. There's a couple ways that this story goes. And at some point, he's going to have to talk about it. By the way, Joss did respond to this this article. Let's go ahead and, in fairness, go ahead and read the Joss back and forth. Editors note a spokesman for Joss Whedon provided the following response. While this account includes inaccuracies and misrepresentation, which can be harmful to their family, Joss is not commenting out of concern for his children and respect for his ex-wife. Which is him saying, You got any gum? So the most effed up way that this happens is if Joss Whedon becomes Geek Tiger Woods. And this is the Thanksgiving Day car crash, where all of a sudden the story about Tiger Woods went from being a golfer who may break an all-time record to, wait a minute, how many affairs did this guy have? How many people did this guy have sex with? Why are all these women coming out one after one after one after one? So all of a sudden, if from here on, between now and when Justice League comes out, there are multiple women who come out and say, yeah, I slept with Joss and he was kind of an asshole, then that will do irreparable harm to Joss Whedon's life. Specifically if the women are famous. But if this is it, then this is just going to be looked at as, I mean, you can come back from this if you're Joss Whedon. The bigger issue right now that everybody's talking about is the idea of whether or not he is a good standard bearer for feminism. And here's where I want to bring the conversation. Because it's something that I have wrestled with. Because I am the son of a single mother. I have a tremendous respect for what I have believed to see in my life as injustice toward women in general, and specifically women that I love. Those, not to say that they're the only people that matter, but they're the people that I've seen it the closest, right? Would I consider myself a feminist in the definition that I would like for women to be societally equal to men? Yes. Do I think that women right now are societally equal to men? No. Do I think that there are many different ways that we can get there? Yes. However, I very rarely call myself a feminist, and I don't like to say it out loud. For this reason. Not because I don't believe in the cause, because I just said the cause out loud. I just said the cause to all of you. Because I'm afraid of Joss Whedon. Because I know way more people that come out here and say, I'm an ally to feminism. I'm an ally to gay rights. I'm an ally to the transgender community. And then go and act like jackasses because they're more interested in getting the brownie points that they can stick on their chest than they are actually caring about it. You know, it's like people, I'm not going to say which region of the country, but it's probably the Northeast, that have a bunch of really racist people that never want to admit that they're racist. And in fact, get very angry if you call them racist because, you know, listen, I studied Martin Luther King in school. He was a great guy, not racist. I got my not racist card right here. People don't think about this stuff. They don't understand that this isn't just something that you put a t-shirt on and now you're a thing. You know, it's like any set of ideals. Either you are going to build a body of work with your actions or you're not. FitShift29 says, hey, gold starred stickers are worth it. I mean, I've talked about this before, but it just, the ally thing always just seems like a very lonely hill to die on. Calling yourself one, at least. Going and giving speeches about how good of a feminist you are. Like, as now, Joss Whedon's getting dragged. And I'm not saying he shouldn't be. I'm just saying, in fact, I'm saying he should get dragged. But that's the reason why I don't want to say it. That's the reason why I don't want to be Mr. Ally Man. I don't want to put it in my Twitter bio. Because either A, I'm going to be a bad one, and now I've hurt the movement in general. Highly likely I might be a bad one. Or now I got to sit there and say, when someone's like, yeah, look at your feminist buddy, Joss Whedon. And be like, oh, God, all right. I guess he's a shitbag. I guess he's just a big old bag of poop. Oh, well. And Joss cheating. Oh, man. All right, one more thing, and then we'll get to your emails. But your emails. How about this one, folks? If you got a good credit score, you might be getting it on. Getting it on. All right. This is from Bloomberg, written by Suzanne Woolley. She's a 793. Swipe right. It turns out your credit scores are statistical shorthand for a whole lot more than the likelihood that you'll repay a loan, according to a number of consumer surveys and academic studies. One study released 2 years ago looked at consumer credit data over 15 years and found that the higher the year-end credit score, the likelier the person was to form a romantic relationship over the next year. Now comes a survey from Discover Financial Services and Match Media Group, parent of Tinder and other dating sites, that shows just how appealing a good credit score can be. Financial responsibility was ranked on an extremely important quality on a potential mate. 69%, nice, of the 2,000 online daters surveyed. That placed it ahead of a sense of humor at 67%, attractiveness at 51%, ambition at 50%, courage at 42%, and modesty at 39%. Don't be a modest mouse. A good credit score was associated with being responsible, trustworthy, and smart. That's right. These amorous respondents effectively put a credit score 18 points ahead of being cute. All right, let's get to the expert quote. If you've got a pretty good credit score, you probably have other good personality traits, says biological anthropologist Helen Fisher, Match.com's chief scientific officer and a senior research fellow at the Kinsey Institute. You're not only managing your money, you're managing your family, your friends. You're kind of a managing person. It says more about you than a fancy car. It's an honest indicator of who you really are. She even called it a Darwinian mechanism for managing your reproductive ability. I mean, when you think about it, it makes sense, right? It makes sense. JV Phobic says, someone who has a credit score, has their shit together. Women like men with their shit together. Who fucking knew? It's not a bad point. Not a bad point. I think the idea is that you're not out here wearing a T-shirt with your credit score on it, right? You're not put it in your Instagram bio. It's just that correlating people who get into relationships correlative have higher credit scores. Tell you what, we get a lot of stuff in here, and we're going to read a couple emails in a second about being lonely and stuff like that. I would say this. You want to know what? This is my new thing. If you are depressed and you are lonely and you are looking for love, the number one thing you got to do right now is look up your credit score and try to make it better. Take steps to make your credit score better. I feel like this is a good idea. This is the way to go. You can take active measures today to make your credit score better. There is ample literature out there. There is plenty of good financial blogs. Go ahead and do that. In fact, you want to know what? Let's go ahead and get into our emails. You can email us justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Put JuRY in the subject line. Jason writes, in your most recent episode of JuRY, you had a number of people writing in about feeling lonely and really not knowing how to meet people. I know I have struggled with the same problem in the past, and here are a few hints. If you want to meet people, go where people are. There are plenty of events happening every day in your area. Get a local paper, join meetup.org, or just find a local group that meets every week. Number 2, so you made it out. Now what? Join the conversation. See some people hanging out talking, join the conversation. Don't be rude, but add something interesting to what people are talking about. Like if you're talking about the weather, add something to it. Like, hey, did you see that weird music on the Weather Channel during the eclipse? People actually don't mind that you're adding to a conversation. Part of you is going to say that you shouldn't do this, but it's not weird. And that's the one little trick that no one tells you about how popular people know so many people. They just talk to other people. Number 3, get the digits. Get contact information for someone that you think is cool and would like to talk to again. Number 4, repeat steps 1 through 3, and soon you're going to have a few new friends. Hope this helps out. Joining random conversations may seem weird, and they sometimes are, but I have met interesting people this way, and I've heard many great stories. If you're at a conversation, show, or a bar, you already have something in common with other people there, so why not join the conversation? Here's the only thing that I'm going to add to this, and thank you so much for writing in, Jason, is that you also need to get used to the fact that some conversations are awkward. You gotta know. Crash land a few times with some of these random conversations, because sometimes that's fine. It's fine that they're weird. But you need to know the difference between a good one and a bad one. Because if you don't, then you're going to think all of them are bad. Your anxiety will take over. I guarantee you. So just repeat these steps. He ain't wrong. And you will soon learn the difference between, okay, yeah, these are a bunch of cool people that want to talk, versus, yeah, these people are either weird or they're off-putting, and let's just move along. Andy. Oh, actually, here we got more lonely emails. Jason, another Jason, writes, I was listening to the most recent JuRY, and you asked about the lonely thing. I actually have a weird situation where I felt extremely lonely. 50% of the time, the complete opposite of the other 50. The reason for this is I'm a single father of 2 children, 6 and 8. I've been divorced since 2012 when my wife of 6 years came out to me. She had known she was gay for years, but wanted more children before the divorce. So it was only after I didn't agree to have a 3rd child due to our monetary situation that she came out. And up until the divorce, I had never lived anywhere alone. Now we have 50-50 custody on a 2-week on, 2-week off basis. So the 2 weeks I have my kids, I am not lonely at all, and I relish all the time we have together and that we spend as a family and our extended family. But the other 2 weeks, I have an empty house and reminders of the children around me. Of course, I could date and find a girlfriend, but I have a little bit of trust issues when it comes to the relationships for some reason, LOL. So basically, I go from really, really high to not being lonely to all of 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks they were depressing and lonely. Jason, let me tell you this. The answer to your question was inside your heart the whole time. You were lonely in your relationship, and you neglected taking care of yourself so you could be there for the kids and try to save it. Guess what? Couldn't have been saved. And now you're taking out the fact that you have neglected yourself and that relationship was duplicitous on some level on the rest of the world. But those 2 weeks that your kids aren't there, and I'm not saying it's not hard because I can't imagine that kind of pain, but really that's you paying for the fact that you've neglected yourself. I'm not saying you got to go out there and bang everything that moves. I'm saying get a hobby. Get a hobby where you can look forward to something on those 2 weeks. Do a little self-enrichment. Get into D&D. Go join a pool league. There's a million different things you can do. But you need to take care of yourself because you're not doing any favors to your kids by being a sad sack. Man, I remember my dad used to do that to me. He would just give me the works about how lonely he was when we weren't with him. Oh, my God. And, on one hand, I felt bad for my dad. Oh, my God, that's terrible. On the other hand, it's like, brother, why are you laying this on me? And I'm not saying you're doing this to your kids, but kids are sponges. They understand things. And if you're lonely when they're not there, then they're going to realize it. So how about this? Be happy when they're not there, even if you're just happy for yourself. In fact, I demand that you be happy for yourself. And once you're happy for yourself, man, I'll tell you what, finding another relationship is going to be a lot easier. Ben writes, I'm a tad behind on your podcast, so I don't know if you still want input on loneliness, but here it goes. I'd say I'm lonely right now. I had to drop out of college, the 16 to 18-year-old one we have in the UK. I'm 18, and for the past 6 months, I've not left the house much at all. All of my IRL friends are going to university, and I'm going back to finish my second year of college in September. So after having all my friends leave to go miles away, I'll have to try to make friends with totally new people, something I'm terrible at, only to cut them loose after a year when I then leave for university. I'd agree with you being physically lonely makes you more likely to join internet communities 100%. I've gotten heavily involved in several Twitch communities through their respective Discord groups, and I'd also say I message my internet far more often than my IRL friends. I care more about them and their well-being too. In terms of does my loneliness worry me, I say it does. I haven't ever been an outgoing person, and I haven't ever had a serious romantic relationship. Due to anxiety and loneliness, the kind of chicken and an egg situation, and each one has made the other worse. However, I'm trying my hardest to remain optimistic. I believe that getting back into education, along with hopefully getting a part-time job, one that involves meeting people, which is, even as I type this, terrifying, will help improve my lonely situation, as well as giving me the skills and experience to make new friends all over again at university. All right. Ben, let me put this to you straight, all right? You are your own worst enemy. Because this sentence right here, where you're laying out how everything's going to be terrible for the next 2 years, where you're going to make friends, then cut them loose, and your friends are gone now, but you don't have anything now. This is the bane of smart people. The bane. The problem with smart people is that your brain can destroy you. You are looking so far into the future about how your life is lonely and hopeless that you are actively eroding your ability to be happy right now. And guess what, dog? If that's all you do is think 2 years ahead of time about how everything's going to be terrible, then guess what these 2 years are going to be? Terrible. You are going to self-fulfill that prophecy. So what do? Get the hell out there. Do something. Again, find a reason to get out of the house at least once a week, man. If you are lonely, just understand that the world is not there to crush you. That, yeah, sometimes shit happens. And, yeah, sometimes you get a bump in the road. But it's not this soul-sucking sarcophagus that oftentimes our brains allow us to think. And this is where the pathway of depression and isolation leads. I am telling you. If all you think is how life is going to suck, then it's going to suck. Get out there. Take chances. Meet people. Even if it's internet people. You want to go on a little road trip and see somebody that's close to you? If there's a live event where some of your favorite people on the internet are going to be, then try to hit that up. I don't know how much that's physically a reality for you, but, set stuff up. Make it a goal. Zephyr says, masturbate before leaving the house. It'll calm the nerves. Get into parkour. I believe in you, Ben. Also work on your credit score. All right, one more here, and then we will wrap things up. This is from Tess. Tess writes, so this is pretty much a petty and dumb complaint. I have an old high school / college friend who got a journalism BA and an anthropology MA. She has a job doing something not really related to either. Not that it matters. Apparently, she had a side gig writing for somewhere new, and I keep seeing updates like this. So I'm going to read this person's update without reading her name. Article help. I need a few more stories for my next article, Grocery Shopping 101. Tips on good foods to include, easy meals to make from scratch, not always relying on frozen foods, and funny stories to avoid, such as one time I mistook butter for soft cheese and ate way too much in one bite. Thanks. All right. So that is what the update was. This is Tess again. The fuck, bro. The fuck. Not only is this literally every trend piece since the printing press was invented, but it's literally one Google away. I'm literally watching clickbait being born as our high school British lit journalism teacher contributes. I mean, I'm no stranger to shitty trend pieces. If you search enough, you'll find my hot takes on Roman Polanski from when I was a writer on my college newspaper. But this is shit. It shouldn't make me angry, but it's so lazy. Anyway, isn't this the podcast for anything? I just needed to rant about shitty journalism. All right. Number one, Tess, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying, baby gotta eat. It's not about what you want to do. It's about what you get paid to do. And right now, this lady is getting paid to write shitty trend pieces. So here's the piece I want you to make with it. Number one, bless her for getting paid for writing. And number two, anonymously leaves terrible comments on her articles. She should know that this is a bad way to make a living and yet still be able to make it. She just needs to understand that there is a consequence to this kind of action. But otherwise, tell you what, man, writing jobs these days don't grow on trees. There's a lot more of a demand. I mean, a lot of websites are shutting down their writing division so they can just go to video. Which, by the way, I'd like to remind everybody that I am available for any kind of video hiring that you'd like to do. So, bless her for getting paid. But also, sting her a little in the comments. All right, everybody. That about wraps it up for this edition of the program. Thank you to everybody who watches and listens. Go ahead and make sure that you head on over to justinryoung.tv or twitch.tv/justinryoung if you want to see us stream live every single day. That is about 11 a.m. on the West Coast. You can email me, of course, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Just put JuRY in the subject line. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat @JustinRYoung. We are beginning with our trip out to Dragon Con, so it's going to be a good time to follow the soch. And, of course, you can join the conversation at diamondclub.reddit.com. Hey, how about all you lonely motherfuckers get on diamondclub.reddit.com or reddit.com/r/diamondclub and just do a, hey, we're lonely. Where are you physically? ASL. Do an ASL stream, an ASL thread. And just see, maybe some of y'all are fucking right next to each other and wouldn't mind hanging out and going to see a movie. Huh? Maybe you ever think about that? You ever think about that? Go ahead and get that in your life. That about wraps it up for this edition of the program. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Again, send your OPP stories, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Put OPP in the subject line. And that about brings us to the end. Folks, this is your old pal, Justin Robert Young, reminding you, as always, to please don't.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.